So my name is Paul Sanneman. I'm founder of Contractor Staffing Source. I'm your host, where we help contractors build great teams. My guest today is Andrew Gillian, and he does something that I think probably everybody listening needs: reviving the dead. I mean, not zombies, but in a sense that you all have a bunch of leads, or not. You go out, spend all this money, you meet the person, and say you close, I don't know, 25% or 50%. The other 50% ends up in the coffin, for lack of a better term. May send them a newsletter once in a while, but they just don't do anything. So Andrew has this great system for reviving the dead by taking all those people that you would have said, oh, well, they're no good, and going back to those people and having them come alive again and buy stuff, which is really cool. So that's what I'm having on this webinar, and it's very effective. He actually works on commission, which is amazing. So if you have anybody that you haven't closed in the past 3 to 5 years, this is your guy. And if you don't have people who haven't closed in 3 to 5 years, you're not a contractor. Okay, so Andrew, tell them a little about yourself and what you're going to teach them.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul, for that introduction. And yeah, really thank you to everyone that showed up here today. Yeah, I think y'all are gonna like what we put together for you. And yeah, so it's true. Your cold, quote unquote, dead estimates are sitting on at least 10K in easy jobs. And today we're going to show you how to turn these ignored quotes from 3 to 12 months ago, even years ago, into booked high-paying jobs in just a few days without expensive ads, reviews, SEO, anything like that. Now, we typically do this for kitchen bathroom remodelers. However, it's been working so well, kind of expanding into the other home service contracting niches. We're going to show you how easy it is to adapt this to really any niche that you might be in. And when you implement this strategy, when all is said and done, you can expect to see at least a couple emails like this per week in your inbox, ready to go. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the problem. We know that you guys have overhead, you got payroll, we got crews to pay. We need an influx of new projects coming in. And so what do a lot of contractors end up trying to do to solve this? Well, often they will invest in some type of digital advertising, pay-per-click, whether that be Google or Facebook, maybe mess around with SEO, ask for referrals, and sometimes even just hope for a better month. And what often can happen is that, well, ads are only becoming more expensive, and this is only going to be more true as time goes on. As you can see from this example spreadsheet, over the course of a year, it can really add up quickly. SEO can take quite a while to really kick in, get some results, 6 to 12 months. Referrals can drop off, and sometimes a better month doesn't always come. And so when you finally do get the lead, you paid for it, you chase the referral, finally got it off. What often can happen is, well, you don't always hear anything. You get, crickets or silence. And I think a lot of contractors that I speak to, they kind of get it in their mind that, well, if they didn't say yes back then, they're dead and gone forever. Let's, focus on new people and new leads. And so for a lot of contractors, it kind of just ends up sitting dormant in their database. And so, yeah, quick question for you all. I mean, you could maybe ballpark off the top of your, how many jobs do you think you've quoted the last 3 to 12 months that maybe said no or really never replied at all?
So you actually guys put that in the chat so we can take a look at it, and Jen can look at some answers. So this is in the last, year, how many people have you asked to buy, and for some reason they said no? It could be 3, it could be 20. I'm just curious, the people here, what are typical numbers? So Jen, you're looking in the chat. Has anybody responded to this question yet?
No, but I was writing it out, and there we go. I was also going to try to do a poll, but then I wasn't fast enough. Sorry.
That's okay. But I'm sure everybody in this webinar has had people that have not said yes. And so it'll get a couple minutes to take that up. And also, if anyone wants to comment, about their, since this is live, maybe you want to join in and say, what's the most frustrating sales call that you thought you were going to close and didn't? I'm sure there's somebody you thought they were going to close and they showed up and they dog ate their homework. right? That happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
So, well,
Yeah, but
well,
I'm sure on here. Oh, 35. Oh, wow. So Scott said 35 that said no or went on hold. So that's that seems like a pretty, that is about right in a year or in the past 3 to 12 months.
so, and then we all have what's called cost per lead, right? That it could be $50, it could be $100, whatever, and you have to count in everything into the Scott per lead, but it's a lot. And that goes up depending on your closing ratio. And I also, hopefully you try to close all these people in person. I tell people only email the leads you don't want. If you actually want to sell somebody, you got to show up in person, try to close them. That takes time and energy on your part. You got to show up, all this kind of stuff happens. Then they say no for whatever reason. My dog got me homework. I can't afford it. I got to talk to, whatever. There's a lot of reasons they say no, but they all say no for something. Okay. So let's say, well, what numbers we got? Just look at numbers, Jen.
Well, right now it's Scott with 35, but I'm sure that is a good.
Let's just move on, but it's a lot. All right. It's several, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars easy. So move on. Andrew, what's your next point?
Yeah. So even just answering it internally, I'm sure it's a lot like you said. But yeah, so basically the whole point of this is kind of just get you to think about, there's a hidden problem we're talking about today where, you're not just losing jobs, you're losing time. It's a drive out to the property, 1-2 hour walkthrough, an estimate that can sometimes take even weeks to really fully write up and deliver. And so, yeah, every no costs you more than just a job. And so, yeah, you've already paid for this quote in time and gas and effort. And so now it's really time to get that investment paying you back. And so, yeah, if there's one big idea I want you all to take away from this today. It's that the great paradox is that your quote unquote dead estimates are actually a lot warmer than you might think. If we think about high ticket sales, kind of like a football field, the supposed dead estimates are a lot closer to the so-called end zone of a sale, because you think about it, like they've already kind of trusted you enough to reach out to you or call you or click on your ad. They've already raised their hand. They've already seen your pricing through some type of quote or estimates, already kind of imagined working with you. And for whatever reason, they just didn't say yes back then. Maybe, their dog got sick, daughter was graduating, family thing, finances, whatever it is, life happens. And so, yeah, they're often a lot closer to booking than a brand new lead or stranger who's never heard of you before. And yeah, so what if there was a better, faster way? If we could turn these dead leads into booked, high-paying jobs? And the really cool thing about this is that, this is fast. Within a couple of weeks, you're seeing, book jobs ROI, as opposed to something like I said, SEO can take quite a while to really kick in and get results, sometimes up to a whole year. No expense, no chasing, just a simple campaign that kind of revives old conversation, acts like almost like CPR for your pipeline. And so, yeah, this is basically the solution right here. It's called something we call database reactivation. We re-engage your dead quotes, simple message. And like I said, they're a lot more likely to book because they already know you. And like I said, often produces a lot faster ROI than chasing someone who has never heard of you before. And yeah, without spending any dollar on marketing or advertising. So yeah, there's basically 3 ingredients to an effective database reactivation campaign. It's important that you use all 3 for it to really work as well as it can. And so these are the 3 right here. Let me just go through them quickly. So gratitude. Well, why gratitude? We find that people never really get tired of hearing thank you. Most folks are used to being kind of sold and prodded, not really used to being appreciated. And so a simple thank you or appreciation can really cut through that noise, makes you stand out, disarms them, really reminds you actually care, not just after their wallet. And then we also need, this is probably the most important one, we need a strong and unique bonus offer. It can't really be made, it has to make them kind of raise their eyebrow, because we find, I speak with a lot of contractors, they offer some variation of a free quote, free estimate, maybe 10% off, which is not bad. I mean, it's certainly better than nothing. But when we think about like every other contractor in town is offering some variation of that, kind of have to think outside the box and be unique. Kind of has to make them say, really raise their eyebrow, something they've never heard before. And so I put together this kind of offer ladder, for example, how to use the specific niche of bathroom remodels, but feel free to extrapolate this to whatever niche you might be in. The template is kind of the same. Like I was saying, most companies kind of stay within the first 3 tiers right here. And we find that the more you're willing to go up this ladder, the more sales you typically get, and the less kind of resistance that you might typically get from homeowners. And I had a conversation with Paul last week where even something as simple as like a gift card, throwing in a bonus gift card can really re-engage these old conversations, get them interested again. So yeah, it doesn't have to be something like crazy like this, but yeah, something simple like a gift card can really do
And
wonders.
I was talking to Andrew about that. I mean, to me, let's look at $100 Amazon gift card, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're willing for you to show up and give them $100 Amazon gift card, they're sort of obligated. I mean, they're not going to have you come back if they haven't got some intention to buy, even if it's a small intention, right? So you've already paid, pick a number, $500 or something to get to talk to this person. So when you think about it, saying, look at, I'd like to come by, give you $100 gift card, see where you are today, and we can have a little conversation. If they say yes to that, it's like breathing life into the dead, because they won't do it unless they have some interest. And certainly worth $100 to go back out there and talk to the person again. I mean, you don't have to close. If you close 1 out of 5, it's a great deal. So this is where you don't need to be, penny wise and pound foolish. You've already spent a bunch of time and energy and money and all that kind of stuff on this person. So clearly, the more you give, the more willing they are to have you show up. And so to me, $100 Amazon gift card isn't much, but the key is you've got to deliver it in person. I'll be happy to show up at your house, give $100 gift card, sort of see where you are and see what's going on. I really appreciate talking to you. If they say yes and make an appointment, even if you close 25%, it's a great deal, right? So this is where most contractors fail, in my opinion. They send them a newsletter, they send them some kind of like, are you still interested? I text you, have you thought about it yet? And they're not good at reviving the dead. They stay dead. So you've got to do something that's going to get the person's attention. And to me, it has to be somewhat significant or it's just not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I was talking about last week where, well, I mean, if some contractors don't want to like invest that extra, typically what contractors I speak with, you can just raise your prices a little bit to cover that cost if you don't want to pay for it out of the pocket. But yeah, 100% agree. Even something simple like that can really, it's like kind of the law of reciprocation, where if you offer something like that up front, say, really kind of gets them to re-engage and really be interested again, and very, very likely to increase the conversion rate for sure.
Another good point is if they said no to you, they probably said no to the other contractors, right? So they had 3 people, they interviewed 3 people, they say no to all of them and they're all gone. The chances are, if they bring you back, they haven't brought the other 2 back. And so there's going to be less competition going on because the other 2 didn't submit a gift card, didn't show up, didn't do all this follow-up stuff. So my guess is when you come back to that meeting, you're not going to have as much competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like I was saying, something simple like that, like the gift card, I can feel very confident to say that very few, if any, other contractors in the area are offering something like this. So 100%, it will definitely make you kind of stand out, get homeowners to kind of raise their hand and really become interested again, for sure.
And you might say something like, I really, understand your time is valuable. I'd like to give you a $100 gift card just because I know your time's worth at least $100 an hour just to talk to me for an hour. So you value their time. And it's not like you're bribing them. It's like you value their time. And what happens is most contractors don't really get back to the homeowner and value the homeowner's time like that. I think it'd make a big difference.
Yeah, 100%. And then, so yeah, on top of this, this is probably the most important ingredient in the campaign. A really strong, unique bonus offer. And once we have that, it's the last ingredients. Just urgency, a deadline, because often without urgency, no action. That's why we want to give them at least 3-4 days max, short enough to kind of re-engage them. Like Paul said, bring them back to life, bring back the dead, but also long enough to not feel, like pressure them. It really gets dead leads moving again, turns maybes into yeses, and really keeps your offer from fading into the background. Because yeah, if they feel like they can do it at any time, then they often won't do it at all.
Right. And the key is, I think you physically need to show up to close them all over again, because you've got to take them from marginal interest back to closing them. But if they are talking to you, they haven't lost interest in the bathroom, the kitchen. They still want it. They're just not sure why they didn't do it. But when you get back with them, you're going to close a certain percentage of those. And to me, it's well worth the time, because you've already spent the time and energy to get to the first point. And I think there's a lot of, money lying around there. You just have to get a shovel and dig it up.
Yeah, 100%. And then, so yeah, this putting it all together is basically like a 4-day email campaign. This would be an example of what the first one might look like. As you can see, we combine all the 3 ingredients. We say, glad to have you back. Appreciate you. Thanks again. The next 3 days, unlocking something special for you, really unique for you. And I can assure you that, most homeowners have never heard of some offer like this from a remodeling company, or extrapolate this to whatever kind of home service niche you're in. They click on this link and it takes into this booking page. They book in, and that's when you would see something like this on your end.
And I would suggest that you don't make the offer tied to buying, because it's just better if you say, well, if you buy from us, I'll give you 10% discount. It's like, yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to buy. And so I would try to give them something that has nothing to do with them buying, like a gift card or something.
Yeah.
I'm just paying for your time. I don't, it is, because it's a lot easier to close somebody if they don't feel obligated to buy to get the deal. So, I mean, back to it, you need to have something that makes sense as far as buying their time. You need to have a sense of urgency in the next 3 or 4 days, and you can even call them fall if you want to. But I think this is a great way to revive the dead that we've all got sitting there. And it's not newsletters, sending them a text, keeping on an email list. You're not showing up in front of them, and makes a huge difference if they just get some kind of newsletter or, yeah, you're still interested or whatever, than if you actually get in front of them again, because then you have a chance to close all over.
100%. Yeah, and that's why we were talking about something simple like a gift card. It has really nothing to do with the actual job or sale upfront, and 100% get them to raise their hand, become interested again.
Now, the next part is what I think makes Andrew the best deal around. So you want to continue, Andrew, how you get paid?
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so you might be wondering, well, is this going to work for me? Typically, we find that works best. You have at least 50 old estimates, quotes from the last 3 to 12 months. Obviously, the more you have, the bigger the payday. But even something as small as like around 50 can really bring in some serious revenue and do it quickly. And the really cool thing about this, like I said, you don't have to spend any more expensive money on expensive advertising. You don't have to wait a long time for SEO to kick in. We're not chasing cold strangers that have never heard of you before. And you don't really have to guess where your next job is coming from. And again, why does this work so well? They already know you. You've already quoted them, already pictured hiring you. The hardest part of the sale is already done. It's already completed. We're just giving them that last nudge into the end zone, so to speak, of the sale. You've already invested the time, money, create these opportunities. Now it's really just about cashing in on them. And so, yeah, like at a high level, like I was saying, this is kind of how it all works. You are more than welcome to take a screenshot of this and try it out for yourself. However, if you don't have time for that, this is exactly what we do. We do it all for you. We don't ask for any money up front. And when you do actually get a booked job, we would just ask for a revenue share percentage, typically around 3% gross, because we want this to be found money for you rather than another marketing expense.
So to me, that sounds like, I talked to some coach the other day and he said it's called what is it? The mafia deal or the Godfather deal, right? Like deal you can't refuse. So
Yeah.
to me, this is like a Godfather deal. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. It's all found revenue you're not going to have anyway. And Andrew's really good at it. So to me, and 3% of gross, you can find that someplace, I'm sure, when you sell the job. So to me, that's why I've had this webinar with Andrew, because it sounds like an awesome deal for most contractors. And he'll do everything. You just put it together. If it doesn't work, it costs you zero. If it works, totally found money. And on the finance side, you already have fixed overhead anyway, right? And so let's say your gross margin on a job is, pick a number, 20, 30%. You're paying Andrew like not much of that. Even 3% of the gross is like, what is that, 10% of that? So you still net 20%, 20, 25%. So it's totally found money. So that's why I think this is a great deal for anybody who wants to, get found money they're not doing now.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul, for the compliment. And yeah, that's why I agree. This is why we really kind of specialize in this, because yeah, it really quite literally is just, money we're finding like this kind of hiding in your database, no upfront cost. So it's really, really a good deal for all of us, everyone involved.
Right. It's a win-win.
Yeah. So a couple of questions we get from people. Do I have to do anything? Do I have to lift a finger? No, it's all done for you. We write the messages, send them, follow up. You just take the bookings. Am I locked into some long commitment? No long-term anything. Campaigns go live within a week. And then the final one, this is going to hurt my reputation. What about my customer list? Typically, we find the opposite tends to happen because our approach is built around, gratitude, not spam. It really positions you as a professional who really cares, and homeowners really love that. And yeah, nothing gets sent out without your approval. And yeah, what can you expect? Most typical contractors see at least a couple jobs per week, 2 to 5, extra jobs closed within the first 2 weeks. Anywhere between 10 to 50K in found revenue is very common without advertising, without chasing new leads. And again, all from the estimates you've already spent time and money creating. So yeah, if that sounds like you and you'd like to get started, feel free to shoot me a text at that number. And like I said, it's all done for you, templates, no upfront cost or risk to you. We basically have templates for all the different niches now: HVAC, roofing, landscaping, etc. So yeah, like if that sounds like you, like get started, feel free to shoot me a text there. And with that said, yeah, more than happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
So now is your time to answer questions. And I guess since I can see everybody, if you don't answer, I'll probably ask you. So let's talk to Mark. Mark, do you have any questions? You have a lot of clients. What do you think about this program?
So, it's amazing what we can do in this country today. Find a little niche and then, provide a service to somebody. I think this is a great idea for contractors who don't have the time to follow up on their maybes. See, because all contractors think they're maybes. It's never a no.
Right.
And so, staying in touch, I call this top of mind awareness. Most contractors aren't trained for sales. So if you get a contractor who has a sales guy, is he going to make the rehash call? Because this is called rehash. Is he going to make the rehash calls? Andrew, probably not, right?
Right.
And a lot of times people don't buy because the timing ain't right. But they like you, but they don't buy because the timing ain't right. So you're right, Andrew. Call them back in a reasonable time frame. You might have a deal sitting there. Absolutely. And a lot of companies I work with, Andrew, they're small, and a lot of times they don't even have an admin. So I'm getting them an admin before I send Paul a contractor to hire people for. So, but I would say on offering things, I agree with Paul. If you offer them too much, it kind of, you know, stinks. It makes it stinky, you know. And the other thing that's really important is each contractor will have their own model. So you'll have cost of goods sold and overhead and net profit. So we got to make sure that they're not giving up all their profit and eating into their overhead. So it might need to be negotiated with some guys who aren't business savvy yet.
Right. So Bruce, you're driving a truck. Can you multitask with me? You got any questions? I guess that means no, because he's driving. All right. Let's see who else is out there. Megan.
Nope, I'm all good here. Thank you for checking.
Okay. Anybody else? How about Scott? You have a question, Scott?
Hey, Paul and Andrew. Our company does historic renovations, full gut renovations, new constructions, as well as we will pick up bathrooms and kitchens and that type of thing. How does this model work with a contractor that does such a wide range of things? That's one question. The second question is, and we start off, part of our initial sales process is letting the client know we are not the least expensive contractor out there, never going to be the least expensive contractor out there. So if price is your main issue, we may not be the right contractor for you. So a lot of the projects that are on hold or that have just said no were budget based. How do we overcome that?
Well, to answer that question, I don't get an answer anyway. You don't really know until you go out there, right? I mean, you spend a whole bunch of time finding that person. You spend time visiting the first time, and they knew you were price-based at the beginning. And I wouldn't assume they didn't buy you because you're the most expensive, because they may have gone with somebody else. It doesn't work if they already did the work. You're done, right? They already had the project done. So for whatever reason, they haven't done the project. So to me, you know, you got nothing to lose by giving it a shot, because I know you said you had 36 projects. You get 3 or 4 of those back, and it's commission based, doesn't cost you anything. And,
oh, no, that makes sense. I'm not questioning that part of it. My question is more along the lines of, like, you have these email templates right here that are specific to a bathroom renovation. If I have 35 or 40 prior leads that are different types of projects, like this one's a bathroom renovation, that one's a kitchen, this is a full gut historic renovation, this one's a new construction. Do you guys, Killian, like customize those?
Yeah, for sure. Typically, we first kind of like do an audit of your list, like kind of see what they were interested in the first place. But then also, like in terms of the specific job that we're trying to sell, we typically just ask the client or the contractor, is there a specific job that you prefer doing? Just in your own personal experience.
So Andrew, you will customize the email literally with every different job if you need to, because you're on commission to work. So one for roofing, one for remodel, one for total gut, one for home renovation, because you might need to approach it differently. But that's on Andrew, not on you, Scott.
Right. Okay. Yep, that was it.
Okay. I got some other people. Marina, you have any questions? I'm looking who else is here. Let's see. Trying to look at everybody.
I'm good, thanks. I would just like to hear your opinion about, you know, how sales could be increased generally. Thank you.
Well, I mean, to me, my opinion is there's, you know, you can either do it in person, you can do it on Zoom, you can do it with an email, or you can send, you know, a text or something. Only send emails to the jobs you don't want. Because if you're there physically in front of them, you can answer objections in real time and judge emotion and feeling and that kind of thing. On Zoom, it's a little harder, but it's better than the other. And the phone's like, yeah, great, but it works. And email's a waste of time. So I would say, because you've got to usually close 5 times on the average to close a sale. That's statistically what it takes. You got to ask to buy 5 times. You're not going to ask to buy 5 times on an email. Phone's less comfortable. So I would say if you use this program, I highly recommend you use it to get another in-person appointment, because you're much more likely to sell if you're there, you read their body language, you answer their objections, you can close 3 or 4 times, and you can actually deal with it in real time as opposed to emails. And Zoom is not as good, but it's certainly better than phone calls, and emails just doesn't work at all, in my opinion. So
Yeah, and then
good.
also kind of like what I was saying, that's why we believe that the offer component of this campaign is the most important, because I mean, obviously, yeah, handling objections has its place, and no offer is 100%, but
Right.
the offer itself, having something really unique that they've never heard before, can kind of decrease, minimize the typical pushback objections that you might get.
I highly recommend, you're not going to mail them the gift card, right? You have to physically show up and hand it to them. So whatever offer you give them, I think it's mandatory that you have to meet with them to get it. Because it's just all about having the next meeting. So any offer you give somebody, that's why I like the gift card. You can hand it to them and say, I'll be happy to drop by and give it to you. You physically have to show up at their house and meet with them, or worst case, they come to your office. But they're not going to get this unless they have a half-hour conversation with you, or an hour.
Right.
So any other questions? I'm looking through the list here.
Well, there's Connie and then Kenny are the other 2
So
attendees.
Kenny, do you have any questions?
I would say on my end, how would this work for like larger scale jobs, like new builds and things like that?
Well, my thought is, obviously, let's say your market is, pick a number, $1 million, $2 million houses like that, right? Well, you might have to offer them $5 gift card, just kidding. So, but if you can get back out there, it's important, because the size of the job is a lot bigger. And what I've seen happen lots of times is, if you don't show up in 6 months or a year or whatever, what will happen is you'll go by the lot and find out somebody else is building the house, and they never talk to you again. They made a decision. They said, hey, we got an inheritance, or my dad gave me some money, or we got a bonus, or a financial situation changes. And they're going to like, oh, I remember we talked to 3 contractors. What number's in your phone? Oh, I'm going to call John because I have his number, right? And so John gets it because they literally put the number in their phone. That's the reason he gets it, which is crazy, right? So I would say it works on larger projects too. You might have to offer a little more, but it's certainly worth, if they haven't built the thing, where the new house or whatever, it's worth talking to them again. Because you spent all the time and energy to get the first proposal done.
Yeah, and then also I think I'll add to that, where we kind of maybe get it into our mind that it needs to be like more complex than it needs to be. But yeah, I mean, it's really the same 3 simple ingredients for the campaign, regardless of what type of job you're trying to sell. And we've seen it work, yeah, for even something big like custom home builds. So obviously you have to tailor it a little bit to your voice, your company, or whatever kind of job you're trying to sell. But the template still works the same regardless of what kind of niche you're in. Appreciation, a strong offer, and a short deadline can really
So
make
the
it work.
process, which is the appreciation, an offer, and the timeline, may vary depending on whether you're selling $1 million house or a $50,000 bathroom, but the principle is the same. You still have to go out, appreciate the person, give them some reason to meet with you by buying their time, and then you've got to make it time sensitive so they won't wait. That process is the one that works. And it's been my experience is that most contractors don't do all these 3. They send newsletters, they call them back, They, I have a friend that she texts them and say, have you made a decision yet? But I think without the urgency in the offer and paying for their time, it's a lot less effective.
Mhm.
So any other questions? Bruce, you have a question?
So for the one guy that was asking about the new builds, I say this line every time I get outbid by somebody. And I just tell the homeowners, okay, just allow me to be your backup plan. Just remember, this is the process. They're probably going to piss you off just before they start. So allow me to be your backup plan. And they get all thankful for it. And believe it or not, it's actually worked twice for me.
I think that makes total sense. I mean, and I would, you might even add to that, Bruce, before you write the first check, where you've actually, maybe before you've written the check for design, you paid $100,000 an architect, before you decide to spend $2 million, make sure that it's not going to cost $3 million instead of $2 million. It happens all the time, right? So I think staying in touch with them is a great idea. And this is something that most contractors aren't really good at. Any other questions? So my recommendation is it costs you $0 to try this. So I would give Andrew a call. If you've got anybody who didn't sell last year, whether it's 10 or 50, it's certainly worth trying out. I give, text Andrew and give it a shot because you got nothing to lose and a lot to gain.
Yeah, and appreciate that, Paul, and happy to follow up with you all. Whatever y'all decide, just kind of see where your head's at with this, and see how much revenue we can unlock for you.
And so, Mr. Assume Close guy, that's me. I will probably have, give Andrew a list of people that were here and get in touch with you and go from there. And if you'll do it, fine. But otherwise, he'll at least contact you and see what we can do. And I appreciate you guys being here. And we'll send you a copy of this, obviously the webinar, and we'll probably get in touch with you, answer questions you might have, and go from there. So thanks for being here. I think we're done. You have any, Andrew? You have any other comments?
No, I guess again, like thanks y'all for putting this together, and really thank you everyone for showing up today. And yeah, hope we can
Cool.
work together soon.
Good. Well, Andrew, if I can give you guys a call, thanks for being here, and we'll see you at our next webinar. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Everyone. Bye.
Thank you.